There's a lot of mixed messages that get thrown around during lockdown, and to be honest, they tend to be completely opposites of each other. Firstly, you've got the sort of productivity camp that are saying that this is your time, you've got so much opportunity at the moment because you've got nothing else to do, and you need to make the most of it and be productive with it. And then you tend to get the more mental health focused camp, I'm generalising with that, but more the people that say it's okay not to be productive. It's okay to use this time as a bit of a rest, especially given it's such an anxiety-ridden period. It's also the same with fitness and weight loss. You get people telling you that this is your opportunity to get fit because you've got nothing else to do, and going out for a run is one of the only things you can do. You've also got the people who say it's absolutely normal to pack on a few COVID kilos, and there's nothing to be ashamed of if you end up eating a bit more, especially if it's to do with something to do with your mental health or the way you're feeling at the moment. The problem for me is that I can see where both sides are coming from, and that means I end up having a bit of an internal conflict. Some days I'm absolutely smashing it out of the park, I'm really productive, and I'm loving the way I'm working. And other days I'm sat on the sofa all day with 6 empty lager cans in front of me, having just polished off a full tub of Ben & Jerry's. Cookie dough for me, but you can argue about what your favourite flavour is in the comments. Because I tend to flip between the two, I was really interested to see the full picture of my lockdown routine and see which side prevailed. And so for the whole of the UK 2021 lockdown so far, I've been tracking everything I've done, and it's time to see how it unfolds. Before I start the video properly, I'm pushing for 200 subscribers by the end of 2021, so if you want to give me that productivity endorphin high, click that subscribe button, like the video, and leave a comment saying what you want to see next. Also, if you think one of your friends might be interested in this, why not share it with them and let them watch it too? Those are all my pleas, so let's get into the video. So, tracking my entire lockdown, I'm hoping the first question you'd have is, how did I do it? Well, actually, no. The first question you'd have is, what the f*** are you doing with your life? But hopefully in the next 10 minutes or so, you'll know exactly what I've been doing with my life. But anyway, I digress. The way I did it was actually really simple. I just downloaded Google Calendar onto my phone, laptop, iPad, anything I could basically get my hands on, and I scheduled in, day by day, the things I wanted to get done. As plans changed, I moved things around, I added, I took away, until I had an accurate picture of what I'd done each day. Once I'd done it for about a week, it all became pretty habitual, so it wasn't hard to do, and I even colour-coded it to make sure that I knew when my relaxation time was, when my social time was, fitness, work, and particularly unfold work. Finally, I also tracked some key metrics, things like how long I slept for, the quality of that sleep, how many steps I took each day, how much screen time I had in each day, and also my productivity levels compared to how much I was resting. The next question is probably, why would you do that to yourself? And honestly, the short answer is just curiosity. The long answer is that I was honestly just interested in my lockdown routine. I wanted to see whether scheduling things for the days to come made me more productive. I wanted to see how much time I was actually spent resting and how much sort of wasted time there was, including things like screen time. Especially given there's nothing else to do, I feel like I would spend a lot of time on social media, which in reality are just wasted minutes. And naturally, in a world where you can't see anyone at the moment, I wanted to see how much time I was actually spending talking to friends and family and having those social connections, even without being able to see the people. All in all, had my lockdown routine been healthy, or was I travelling headfirst towards loneliness and burnout? So now we're going to get into some stats. So the stats will be coming up on screen for each section as I go through it, and here's the main rundown. Starting with sleep, as you'd expect I slept more on weekends, but there's nothing good about the averages here. Less than 8 hours is bad, so less than 7 on average is cause for concern. Scanning through the spreadsheet, the least I slept on one night was just over 5 hours, which really is unsustainable. The quality of sleep was better according to the good old Fitbit, but not by much, which made me question whether that got brought down by the occasional Friday night alcohol-induced sleep. All in all, poor showing. Screen time's an interesting one. Unsurprisingly, I was on my phone a lot more on the weekends, but these stats are only including my phone, personal laptop and iPad, which means there's no inclusion of the 7 hours a day I spend on my work laptop. The weekday 5 hours worries me a bit, to be honest, because when you include the 7 hours of work screen time and the fact that when I do take a break it's usually in front of the TV, this is a lot of hours in front of screens, and given I can't see anybody or do anything at the moment, I need to really work on cutting that down. I could say social media and streaming services are to blame, but let's take some accountability here instead of making excuses. In terms of the work-life balance, the productivity shone through. Obviously, I'm more productive on weekdays, with 7 hours taken up with paying the bills. To be honest, I'm happy with myself that I've managed to do another 3 hours work on average every weeknight. For rest and social time, 6.5 hours is fair enough, given 2 of these hours is between 7 and 9 AM, and usually consists of me clicking snooze. That sound now gives me PTSD. I'm not saying that. It's in your contract, you have to say it. Post-tracking snooze disorder. Subscribe. Anyway, resting for 4.5 hours per evening is probably fair. Moving on. Social and fitness to finish. There's a fair few occasions over the weeks of speaking to people. Playing PlayStation and calling people had to make do, but it's clear I do have a bit of a reliance on others. That's not a weakness, but something that comes out when you don't get the chance to see anyone. Often it's when I'm tired, so instead of forcing myself to work, I speak to people because that energises me. For fitness, I fell short of my expectations, only running 9 times in 47 days. I'd wanted at least 15 to fit with my yearly goals, and I guess something was always going to fall short with this. It's difficult to be smashing every goal out of the park, and I just need to take on the chin. That's the stats. So now, let's have a look at my final thoughts. When I started doing this, I thought it would keep me productive for a little while, but then I'd drop off pretty quickly. Honestly, I didn't think I'd actually be able to keep tracking myself for 30 days. I thought I'd forget, so I'm quite impressed that I'm still going now. I honestly thought it would make me look lazy, and I'd beat myself up about that. Maybe pertaining to my self-critical nature, I thought it would paint a picture of this lazy, unhealthy, phone-obsessed slob who just spends his whole time sat in front of Netflix. Thought it might come out that I wouldn't even post the video because it would paint such a bad picture of myself. A friend of mine actually said to me, I'd hate to do that because it would just show me how little I actually do. And to be honest, before I started this, that's how I thought it would be as well. What it actually taught me without even thinking about the stats was that when I schedule in time, I can pick and choose when to be productive and when I can rest. Yes, of course, there were times where I'd planned to be productive and ended up sat on my fat ass in front of the telly, but that's just life. 90% of the relaxation was scheduled in, meaning that I didn't have that awful feeling of procrastination and I could actually use the time to recuperate. The rest felt deserved. It was the same with the productivity stuff. I was scheduling it in and it actually made me want to do it. I didn't want to let myself down, and again, 90% of the time, completely fabricating that number by the way, I got a good, productive work session out of it, and it made me feel fantastic. And then there's the conclusive answers that the stats provided me with. I probably don't sleep enough. I spend too much time looking at screens. I am quite productive. I'm not lazy. Sometimes you do need a rest. I do need people, but I do still make the effort to see people and talk to people. And if you want to be fit and healthy, you've actually got to go for a run. Who knew? All in all, it's sort of just proven to me that I'm actually doing pretty well. Maybe I need to stop being so harsh on myself and forcing myself into this productivity perfectionism mindset. Yes, I've fallen short on some things like the running, but you can't always achieve everything all at once. And that's okay. As long as I stick to my long-term goal of self-improvement, everything's going to work out just fine. That was wholesome as f***. So to everyone who's trying to work out the right way to approach lockdown, here's a simple answer from a guy who knows exactly what he's done for the whole of it. It's alright to be productive and it's alright not to be, as long as mentally you're trying to be where you're meant to be. If that means talking to friends or putting the brakes on the messages you send, it's okay. If you want to get fit, do it, but if you don't, you won't be shunned. You might be stunned at how much better it actually makes you feel. Fundamentally, it's alright to do whatever's best for you. And if you're comfortable with it, who gives a shit what somebody else is telling you to do? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all very, very soon.